At this time, we're going to take that moment to talk about kind of the news and prophecy update as we do week after week. This last week, again, coming off the heels of 21 Christians that were beheaded, and we'll call them Christians, but the President of the United States will not call them Christians. They just call them citizens of Egypt and innocent. But I like how Franklin Graham, who addressed it with the media, and he calls it for what it is. But he says that the president is ignoring the fact that these were Islamic extremists. And to some degree, they can be, but they're actually fulfilling and doing what the Quran teaches them to do. They're good Muslims. That is what a good Muslim does, is exactly what they're doing. But the reason why, and this is the clarification, and if you look at the President of the United States background, it's because that's all he's known as Islam. He grew up in an Islamic country in Indonesia. His mother married a Muslim. His father was Muslim. She married a man from Indonesia eventually. So he went to Islamic school. So everything about the President of the United States is Islam. You don't see anything Christian in his life, yet he claims he's a Christian, but there's nothing that we've seen in his life as a Christian. That's why he's not going to call it for what it is. And when he first became president, if you recall his little apology tour that he did in the Middle East in 2009, and this is where he goes around the world telling, the people that America is not a Christian nation, and despite the overwhelming evidence, is contrary to that. It was founded on Christian principles. The Constitution is founded on Christian principles. You see the history of the United States, but he's going to deny that because he is a Muslim. So his whole life, his experience is surrounded by Islam, and that's why he has a hard time to say and to call it for what it is. And even with the whole, the president of France was saying that, this was the Western world, providing this influence, and it wasn't. It was Islam that wants to kill the Christians and wants to cause damage. ISIS also, on another note with them, they sent out a message to all Christians saying, you will soon see an ocean of blood from the nation of the cross. So they're going to send out a documentary, a message signed in blood to the soon nation of the cross. And so and it's their promise that they want to do, and showing a wave of Christian blood that has been spilled. So this is part of their agenda and their recruitment and things like that. The other thing that I read a report of those 21 that were beheaded, the last words that were on their lips when their heads were being chopped off. You know what it was? Jesus.
Yes.
What other name would you say in a situation like that?
Hallelujah.
So that was pretty cool to read that report. The third thing that we saw this week, that the Supreme Leader, I don't know why you call him Supreme Leader, he's just an idiot, Ayatollah Khomeini, vowed on Wednesday that his country is going to resist global sanctions that's imposed over his disputed nuclear program. So, as you know, a lot of countries around the world put sanctions on them, so they're wanting to put sanctions, on other countries, and they're going to try to stop the blockade of the oil refinery and the oil that's being produced and sent around the world. And so, they produce close to 2.7 million barrels of oil a day, and which produces over 600 million cubic measures of gas per day, and for their country and other countries around the world. So they're going to try to put a hold on that. But they're continuing to wage their whole nuclear arms program. Yet they're saying it's all for peace. It's for energy in their country. But we all already know that they have a different alternative, what they want to do with the nuclear power plants. And then another interesting note is we know that there's going to be pestilences and disease in various places. This report came out this week and said that AIDS is a top killer among teens worldwide, and this is really taking place in Africa. It's the leading causes of death in adolescents in Africa, the second leading causes of death among adolescents worldwide. So behind road accidents and injuries, says the Global Health Agency. Close to 2 million adolescents are living with HIV, the virus that leads to AIDS, as you know. And they said that 30 people become infected every hour. In South Africa in 2013, more than 860 girls became infected every week, and compared to 170 boys every week. So start to do the math. You start to see the epidemic, the problem that's happening there. And most of those 2 million plus adolescents living with HIV and that were aware in 2013, they became infected about 10 years before. So just because they're doing stuff now, something happened years ago, whether it was through pregnancy, through rape, or all these other things. And so they didn't have the medicines like we have today, way back then, that could have helped stop it. The passing out condoms is not going to stop this problem. It's not safe sex, it's abstinence is what's going to stop it. Stop this, issue happening. And but we know that there's going to be pestilences and diseases in various places. And again, if you're to continue to look at the Ebola problem, it's continued to escalate. It's getting worse and worse. And but as Jesus says, there's going to be not only wars and fights and kingdom against kingdom, but there's going to be earthquakes in various places. And last year we saw more earthquakes than the entire history of the world. And then we start to see the natural disasters on epidemic scales. We're seeing diseases at epidemic scales. And so, exactly what Jesus says in Matthew 24. So it's good to be aware of what's going on, not to cause panic for anyone, but just be aware, be informed. We're living in the end times, and so we need to be ready and get the gospel out there as quickly as possible to as many people as possible. Amen?